I am 100% loyal to this university and to what it stands for. And I get up in the morning and I'm passionate about making sure that, the student athletes that come through this program have an opportunity like I did to compete at the highest level, to gain a world-class education. And by the way, to enjoy, the social experience that this campus is known for and can offer.
Shut up and sit down.
Inside Wisconsin is brought to you by Baycare Clinic, Cobblestone Creek, University of Wisconsin-Platteville, Roll Tech, Festival Foods, Capital Credit Union, North Star Mohican Casino Resort, American Family Insurance, Miller Lite, and Aaron's Company.
What is up, Wisconsin? From the Inside Wisconsin studios, my name is Trevor Thomas. That is John Anderson. John, that shirt that you have on, and I'm conscious of this, by the way. I know a lot of people just listen to this podcast and not watch our beautiful faces. So I'm going to do my best to describe that T-shirt that you have on. And I have no idea how old it is, but you said if you took it off, don't do that. It would be see-through. Where is that from?
Yeah, I don't know. I've had it. It can't be that old because it's an XL, and I haven't always been an XL.
Oh, got it.
But that's a youthful Bucky, is he not?
He is
a youthful Badger as he goes.
There is no motion W on that shirt. That is for sure.
No. Yeah, I enjoy that he's got the old school W. So I'm going to say this at the risk of alienating a great number of people and the marketing department in Madison. So I'm not a big fan of the motion W. I know the team has been great since they put it on the helmet and all that. I don't know that I dig motion W. And the old W was just a regular, kind of block standard W. But I don't know. It still looks funky to me.
Well, you grew up with it before it was the motion W.
Yeah, I don't know.
I've only known it.
You can't put Bucky on the helmet. He's too intricate and all that. True. I mean, they have in the past. I get it. I don't like when we had the W on the front of some of the, and I'm not talking just about, the logo on all those things, because it's on their siglets and their jerseys and their vest when they do stuff. Yeah. But I'm not going to argue with its success. I don't know that I'm a huge fan.
Well, I think our guest today is a little partial to the motion
W. We're going to leave that out, okay? We're not going to say that.
Okay? Not going to tell him.
Pinky swear right now that doesn't come up.
Got it. Won't bring it up. Promise. All right. Let's get to him.
I promise not to bring up Joe Thomas.
You've made this promise. No, I was going to say, you've made this promise in the past, and it was total bull.
I've never made this promise.
Yes, you have. Craig, back me up on this. He promised not to bring it up a couple episodes ago, and he did. You'll see.
But at no point will I embarrass you about how you picked Joe Thomas as your fifth all-time greatest Badger, or whatever the egregious, jailable criminal offense is that you had. Joe was an excellent track guy. He threw the disc in the shot, and so he's on my side here, Trevor. In addition to you misranking him so grossly low, he's on my side.
Today, Chris McIntosh. You want to talk about shoes to fill, John? This guy following Barry Alvarez as the athletic director, but he's one of us. It's a really cool conversation. You'll enjoy this. The University of Wisconsin athletic director, Chris McIntosh. The man with the reins, now in almost a year ago, I believe, the AD at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, Chris McIntosh. What's up, Chris? Thanks for being here on Inside Wisconsin.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Trevor. Good to see you, John.
I want to know, when Barry Alvarez was in your living room and he was recruiting you, and he said, we're gonna make you a left tackle, and then when you get to be 40, we're gonna make you the AD, or if that came later.
There's not supposed to be any kind of inducements for recruiting, so that wouldn't exactly be a permissible thing for him to have said. But, there's an interesting story, one that's not told very often, about what he did say to me in my living room that day. That was in 1994. And I asked him why I should commit to Wisconsin at that time. And his answer was, well, and, this is like July before my senior year. His answer to me was, well, if you get hurt, we'll honor your scholarship, which at the time wasn't exactly a commonly practiced thing. And it made sense. I was going to commit anyways. I just felt like I needed to ask a question or two. And it turns out 3 games into my senior year, I tore my ACL. I ended up having it reconstructed. I had staph infection. I had 3 more surgeries. I lost 45 pounds, and I almost lost my leg. And he came to see me at the hospital here at University Hospital. I spent 21 days there. I can't imagine what he saw through his eyes. This kid, 45 pounds lighter and just a mess. And I'm sure he thought, what a waste of a scholarship one will be. I give him credit. He was a man of his word. He was loyal, did exactly what he said he was going to do. He honored the scholarship. And, I tell people, if you want to start a relationship out on the right foot, start it out that way, because I came in that following June and felt like I owed it to him to prove that it wasn't a waste and that he made the right decision. And, a lot has happened since then, but that's how we got started.
And if he had told you that day, whether it's in the hospital or in your room, he said, and Chris, one day I think you can be my replacement here as the athletic director at Wisconsin, you'd have said what?
Yeah, I would have told him he's crazy. First of all, you would have had to first accept that he would have been the athletic director at that time, which I'm not sure I would have believed that. But it's those conversations actually never really took place until very, very recently. After I arrived here, and for me, it was a way to come back to a university that had given so much to me, and in turn to my family, really changed my life. Allowed me to have access to a world-class education, and the first in my side of the family to do that. And it was just something I was passionate about. And I came back and started to learn what college athletics was about under his kind of tutelage or mentorship. And there's some lessons that came from being a player here in his program that just proved to be true for me, and that is, just focus on those things that you can control, day to day, and then one day leads to another, and they add up, and here I am.
And it's a cool story, right? Wisconsin kid now running Wisconsin athletics. We talked to Barry for the very first episode of Inside Wisconsin just over a year ago, Chris, and we talked about how he got it. And so I'm curious to know, here you are in the driver's seat now. You get it. You grew up here just like we did. So what does it mean to you to be in the seat that you are now?
Yeah. I mean, it's an incredible opportunity, huge responsibility. I am 100% loyal to this university and to what it stands for, and in the way that we go about our business and doing it with a high degree of integrity. And, it's one of those, failure is not an option, though, I've made plenty of mistakes, and I will continue to. I didn't, not to be confused with perfection, but to me, this place, means the world to me. And like I said, it changed my life. I don't know where I would be without having had access to this university. And so I get up in the morning and I'm passionate about making sure that the student athletes that come through this program have an opportunity like I did to compete at the highest level, to gain a world-class education, and by the way, to enjoy, the social experience that this campus is known for and can offer our young people. It's an awesome opportunity and responsibility.
Yeah, tell me more about that responsibility, because I see we have the whole UW system. Right, everybody is touched there somewhere, and athletically, there's a bunch of stuff. When I grew up, UW Oshkosh was a terrific baseball school, and we see what the Warhawks do, and yet somehow at Whitewater, the Badgers and that program, the responsibility being the flagship, in that everybody still rallies there, even if they like these other places and have attended there. The Cardinal and White are still important to everybody in that state.
They are. There's a lot of pride in what we do. Clearly in a sport like football, it is the show. There are no clear in-state rivals. We're not competing with anybody there, and I think the people of Wisconsin take a lot of pride in that. It's one point to rally around, and I certainly felt that as a player here, and I feel it now as the director of athletics and being around our program. It's a point of pride for Wisconsinites and beyond, but certainly those in Wisconsin. And you get to there's a good rivalry in basketball down the road at Marquette, and but largely the majority of our programs are the only programs at this level in this state, and generally speaking, and I think that's something that people take a lot of pride in around here. There's a lot of excitement, and in turn, it allows them to follow us wherever we go, and there's always something to talk about.
You talk about responsibility and the social aspect that the university is known for. I was thinking about this earlier today. Chris, it wasn't that long ago that you were a student there and you played football there, and you probably were a part of the social aspect of the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Does that give you a leg up with these student athletes? I mean, maybe you were on Mifflin Street, or maybe you didn't stand in the student section, but you know about the student section, and it's different now that you're running the joint. So what is that like for you, being a student, 20-some years ago, and now you're here?
Yeah. I mean, I certainly have some insight into what it's like to be a student on this campus. My wife is an alum, and we had just a hell of an experience here, and met a lot of lifelong friends, and really grew up. Really came to this campus and found myself and became comfortable with who I am. And when you talk about different events or traditions around campus, I've got my own memories and experiences with those, and I think to some extent, there's some consistency with what our student athletes go through today, but I can relate. I'm excited for them to experience this campus and to make those friendships like I did. At the same time, there are so many things that are different for our student athletes. I was here in a time before cell phones and a long ways before social media and those types of things, and so their experience is different than mine, but there are certainly more than a few things that we have in common.
How do you go about, because my guess is what, I don't have the exact number, you've got to be close to 600 athletes?
About 850 athletes.
850, okay. Wow. So, wow, that's I'm trying to, I go from Missouri and we're about 600, so I guess that's more, whatever. How is it you go about and sort of doing the best you can to try and touch all those kids in some way, shape, or form so that they come away years from now? And I think in my experiences, there was a guy that was kind of a low-level assistant athletic director, but he made it a point to say hi to everybody. His name was Joe Castiglione. He turned out all right years down. But how do you do that so those kids know who you are and that there's a connection there and that you're making that impact?
Well, I would say this, we talk a lot about what differentiates us from other programs. We talk to recruits about that. We talk to our fans about it, and donors and everybody. And the one answer that's consistent, it's our people. And, for me, especially, with all the change that's taking place and uncertainty really in college athletics, I'll answer your question in two ways. First, I think our student athletes, and I think anybody that's in my position at other programs would say the same thing. They're just amazing young people, and they're talented, and they're energetic, and they're fired up to be here, and they're fired up to pursue what's usually a lifelong dream, and they're excited to get an education here and earn a degree. I'm here to support them, and we've got 400 staff that are here to do the same. But the second way I'd answer your question is kind of a more selfish way, and that is, amidst everything that's happening and all of the trials and tribulations and COVID and everything else, it's energizing to be around our student athletes. And so for me, it brings me energy. It's what gets me out of bed in the morning. Doesn't feel like I'm going to work. It feels like I'm going to respond to some kind of a calling here. I'm just attracted to this place, and the reason I'm attracted to this place is because the people and our current athletes are a large part of that. And I get fired up to see them compete and experience what it's like to compete on a huge scale at a championship level, win or lose. And then I get fired up to see, we had our commencement last weekend, and we had a ceremony for our student athletes that are leaving here with the graduation or graduating. And I mean, the majors that they have are just incredible. I had to ask somebody about a couple of them. Neurobiology was one of those, and they're going to go on and do just amazing things, and it's rewarding to me to be part of that, to make sure that this kind of an opportunity, I believe it's a once in a lifetime, world-class opportunity. And I get fired up to see them take advantage of it. And I get really excited to see where it takes them in life. And so when they start to come back and share stories about what this place meant to them and the experience that they had and what they're doing now, that's what we're all in this business for.
I'm not a math major, Chris, but do you already have 2 national championships under your belt as AD at Wisconsin? Did I do that research right?
Well, we've got our women's volleyball team won it in December. We had a national championship or national champion swimmer. We've competitiveness. We had a conference championship basketball team. Competitiveness has not slowed down around here, and that's obviously is a high bar, high expectation to live up to, and I think one of the things we take pride in is our competitive standard. It's not the only thing that's important to us here, and I just talked about graduation and education, and those two things aren't mutually exclusive here, and I'm proud of both of them.
Yeah, I think there's nothing that screams volleyball like a team from Wisconsin winning in December. Right in California, the beaches, but right here, Madison, December, volleyball, perfect. Why wouldn't that be a marriage, a perfect union, a perfect marriage? So without diving too deep in any of these, I just kind of maybe get your quick, maybe not yes or no, but your opinion. Do we need some guardrails on how NIL is going? Do we need some parameters there?
I think we do. I think we do as it relates to recruiting, for sure.
Are we good with the playoff at 4? Or would you go 8 or 12?
I'm one that's a supporter of expansion. I think it's healthy for the game of football. I think it's healthy. I think it's what our players, our student athletes want. Ours collectively, just across college football. So I am in favor. It needs to be done right, and there are a lot of questions that need to be answered around that timing, with regard to finals and obviously number of games. But in general, I'm a supporter of expansion.
What would you do with the NCAA? Do you like how it need to be redone entirely, or can we work with what's there and change that?
Yeah, I'd like to think that through this process, with this transformation committee, that there are aspects of the NC2A that can certainly get stronger. I think a uniform academic standard is a good idea, and eligibility. I think postseason competitions for many of our sports is a great thing. And so there are all kinds of things that they do, and they do well. Obviously they've been easy to pick on for a long time. And so it's time to see some reform, some kind of a rebirth, if you will. But I'm optimistic that something positive can come of that.
And finally, would you take Power 5? Obviously, are there, and then there's some other serious football players outside of that. Do we need to make football like an extra tier? Do we need to have, instead of FBS and FCS, we maybe to go one more for some of those that are really the haves, and make things not necessarily equitable, but there's not a reason that Wisconsin and Alabama should be working under some of the same rules as UConn here or UTEP.
Yep. I think, well, I'll just speak from my perspective at Wisconsin. There are 350 some schools in Division I, and Obviously, there's a wide discrepancy between them amongst in terms of the number of in terms of the resources that are available and the level of support that programs can extend to their student athletes. And when I hear about some of the criticism, about college athletics today, a lot of that, not all of it, certainly not all of it, but there are criticisms of college athletics in terms of the support and the protections that schools aren't providing, that schools with more resources are. Schools like ours in the Big Ten and Power 5 are. So I'd like to see, potentially as one of the developments that comes out of this transformation process with the NC2A, maybe more of a stratification of what Division I could look like, where schools with a similar amount of resources or an ability to support their sport programs to the fullest can be compared against each other and can compete with each other.
We have covered some ground with the Wisconsin Athletic Director, Chris McIntosh. That was segment 1. More with Chris, John, and myself in just a bit. We are Inside Wisconsin.
Inside Wisconsin is brought to you by Baycare Clinic, Cobblestone Creek, University of Wisconsin-Platteville, Roll Tech, Festival Foods, Capital Credit Union, North Star Mohican Casino Resort, American Family Insurance, Miller Lite, and Aaron's Company.
Helpful critiques, ideas, great stories, people we should know, the great bar in your town, the fish fry you want to know, the fish boil, anything that you want to reach out to us with. We are happy. We are here. You can be the inputters. We're here to listen.
John, I attended my first baseball game without having a beer the other day, and I was really depressed about it, to be completely honest.
Why was that?
I was on a field trip with my son, and he goes to St. Mark Lutheran, and I just didn't get the vibe that we should be drinking Miller Lite at the T-Rat Stadium on this field trip. So it was the first time ever, probably a stretch, but I did walk slowly past the beer area there at the T-Rat Stadium down in Appleton.
Did you cry or anything?
There was not a tear in my beer this time, probably because I did not cry. No, and I didn't.
Now, was this good parenting, or when I was a kid right in school, it was like, if you bring one, you got to bring enough for everybody, and that you just didn't think you could cover the whole class? Or was this just parental
my wife,
decision you made?
I went through the whole thing in my head. We drove not only our son, but somebody else's son. But I was like, I can still have a beer. My wife will drive back. Nope, I chose not to. That's called being responsible, John.
Yeah. Well,
and that's what it's all
about.
Hard
job to be responsible.
Doing my best. Miller Lite tastes like beer. I missed out on that. I did have a water, or I didn't drink any other watered down beers. I guess that wouldn't have served the purpose either. But I wanted a Miller Lite because it actually tastes like beer. But there I was at a baseball game without a beer. I'll get over it. I'll be fine.
But here's the deal, right? There'll be other baseball games and other dates, and near as I can tell, they're not making less of it. They haven't stopped making it. It's like every time I lose a golf ball, I'm like, I'm pretty sure they're making more.
Yeah,
same thing here.
We'll be able to find some. I put my big boy pants on. I'm not saying it was a difficult thing. I don't need any help here. It was just an odd deal to go to the T-Rat Stadium and not be able to enjoy Miller Lite. So thanks for your empathy. I really appreciate it. All right. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/Inside Wisconsin, or you can pretty much find beer that's Miller Lite anywhere they sell beer. You can find it pretty much
I think anywhere. You can get it at a bank.
Please try that and
or
videotape it.
Car wash.
Go to the bank and ask for a Miller Lite. I would love to see what happens. Record that and send that to me.
In college, we had a laundromat that had a bar in it, which was awesome.
What could go wrong? Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. Drink beer that actually tastes like beer. Have one for me at the next baseball game. We're back inside Wisconsin in between segments with Chris McIntosh. It is top 5 list time. John, our most watched video.
Yeah.
It's not Mel Kiper. It's not Barry Alvarez. It's none of the guests. It is one of our top 5 lists. Over 20,000 views on TikTok now.
My goodness.
So these are going well. These
what
top
were we
5
talking
lists,
about?
We were talking about the 4 and then 5th with Aaron Rodgers. First round draft picks by the Packers that reached the Hall of Fame. And that is the most watched video we have ever
We're
put
here
out.
to make
So
people smarter.
I like the top 5 list, and so do you all. All right, here we go. The top 5 places, this is what I want to know, that John Anderson has to go to when he comes home, knowing that you're coming home here in a few weeks
Going to the
for
Rockers.
Inside Wisconsin Night at the Green Bay Rockers. That's right, June 16th. So, all right, I'm curious. I know one. I don't know where it falls. At least I'm hoping it made your list. I know for sure you go to the Mars Cheese Castle every single time you come home. Did it make the list?
No.
Damn.
No, I don't always stop. I always take a picture of it, goes by, but no, because sometimes I'm in a hurry,
Okay. All right.
So
I thought it was a go-to. All right. Well, then
it is. It's there, but it's I can make without it. I can find cheese elsewhere from Wisconsin, so it's
like festival foods maybe
when you go through there, but it's nice. So
all right. So what are the top 5?
I kept it to home. I kept it to Green Bay. So the first one, which is not exciting, and it is probably a touch sad, is. But I always now have to go to Fort Howard Cemetery where my father's buried. Mm-hmm. So I make that trip best I can. Oddly enough, I missed it one time, and it didn't hit me till I was on the airplane. I was so busy and do some things, and I felt terrible about that. But so I go out there. My father passed away, 7-8 years ago, almost, maybe even 9. It's been a long time. So I still have to go there.
Understood.
And then after that, of course, that makes me hugely hungry. So now I have to go eat. So now I go to Culver's because I want to get custard, right? That's always on. It used to be Stroheim's. Remember we had Stroheim's custard, which was great too.
I do remember that actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're no longer, I think, around. They're not with us. Then I will, depending, like the date or time or what I have packed. So number 3 is kind of a coupled entry. So I'm either going to go to Merrick's for fish, or I'm going to go to the Union Hotel and have a steak.
So, there was a time last Packer season you went to both.
Yeah, when Butchie and I came Friday night, we did one, and Saturday we did the other.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, on occasion we're lucky we can, you can do both. Then the one place I will always go eat is Kroll's. I will have the Butterburger. I will have the chili. Then I will tell people here that I have chili, and in Wisconsin, spaghetti in your chili is a standard thing. That just happens. Yep. Right?
East or West?
Well,
Kroll's East or Kroll's West?
So I know East is the original that's closer to where my mom lives, but I'm a West guy because that's where I grew up on the West Side.
Sure.
And we attended that place a lot during after football games and after basketball games, and so it was always there.
Where
my good friend Steve Sharp, remember that they have the little water glasses? They had one, and so we were stacking them one time because we're just dumb. And my boy Steve Sharp's got like 9 of them, and the waitress comes by and she goes, "Could you please not do that? They're going to fall and break." And he's like, "No, that's the trick. They don't fall." And so that was a bad deal that night. That was terrible.
I think we're at number 1. What is the place?
And then at number 1, because usually I'm with somebody. Somebody's around, whether it's Butchie, whether it's my kids. So I kind of make the old home loop.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I will go through and I will drive by 1670 Beemert. Then I will drive by John Muir Park, where I was gainfully employed for 2 summers as a parkie, working for the city. And then I'll drive down and go by Kennedy Elementary School to see that and go look at how the little outfield, the little baseball diamond there that we played on a recess, and think, how could I not ever hit a home run on that? It took it's this far, and then I'll continue down 9th, and we'll go by Packerland, and we'll swing by and maybe see Southwest, see what's new there. Especially now they got a football stadium that we didn't have. Might loop around Lombardi, and then eventually go back up Packerland, which is where the other house I lived in out there. And so on occasion, I'll make the old JA nostalgia loop, which I like to, because I think, I dig it. There's something about that. Even at 56, you're like, those were good days, man. And and I have great memories of all those places. So sometimes it's kind of just it recharges, a little revitalizing. And every once in a while I think, gosh, I've lived here 23 years in Connecticut, and I think, yep, but I'm still. Where are you from, John? Oh, I'm from Wisconsin. Where do you live? I live in Connecticut. How long? 23 years. But it's one of those things. I think I've told you this before, and if not, it's always going to sound crazy to me when my kids will tell someone they were born and raised in Connecticut. because I don't think of them as Connecticut kids either. I think of them as Wisconsin kids or Oklahoma kids because they're in-laws. And they're going to go, well, no, I was born and raised in Connecticut. And that just sounds so foreign to me.
It's sad, kind of.
Yeah, well, I don't know that the Department of Family Services is going to come take them away.
No, that still. They just don't get to experience what we
come
did.
on, all
That's
right.
true.
They have an appreciation for it, that's for sure.
All right, back to Chris McIntosh. We're back inside Wisconsin with Wisconsin's athletic director, Chris McIntosh. Chris, Inside Wisconsin is about the people, the stories, and this word that we've coined, the statriotism of America's Dairyland. You're one of us. There's got to be some homerisms, right? I mean, like, you are a true cheesehead. So talk to us about growing up in Pewaukee, ending up at Wisconsin, and now you're running the show.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a fit for me. I grew up, down the road in Pewaukee, Wisconsin. Used to be a big deal in Pewaukee until the damn Watt family came along, and you talk about cancel culture. I was just wiped off of the walls there. But in all seriousness, grew up at a time when Pewaukee was just a fraction of the size that it is now. It was a small town. I think I had 89 kids in my graduating class, and when I was a junior in high school, that's when, the 93 team won that 94 Rose Bowl. And, that was kind of right as I was coming into, being recruited. And I just remember what the state of Wisconsin was like then. And, the next town over in Brookfield, that was home of a guy named Joe Panos. And I knew I was going to be an all-lineman, and I watched all the coverage, and I watched the interviews of Joe and all those guys. Corey Raymer was up in Fondy, and I just knew I wanted to be. I knew that's what I wanted to be, and that's what I wanted to experience, and that's what led me here to Wisconsin. Obviously, we had a lot of success. Towards the end of my career here, it helped to have a Heisman Trophy running back behind me, and just a really strong team. But, I think one of the things that is easy to forget is, the 3 years preceding that 99 Rose Bowl, the 98 season, it wasn't a lot to write home about. And, my freshman year here, we didn't go to a bowl game. The first year I started in 96 as a redshirt freshman, we had to win an extra game in Hawaii just to be eligible to go to the Copper Bowl. And then the following year, 97, we played just a brutal schedule, bookended by Syracuse with Donovan McNabb and Georgia in the Outback Bowl. And I still have bruises from that game. It was just ugly. And but, there was a lot to learn, and that experience paid dividends. And obviously, we had a hell of a run after that. But had it not been for those learning lessons, it just wouldn't have happened. Like, for me, there was a life lesson in that. It allowed me to leave here. Obviously, I was drafted, and I was had the benefit of going on to play in the NFL with Seattle. But, that experience didn't exactly go how I had envisioned it. I got hurt my second year with a neck injury, and it was kind of downhill from there. But the experience I had here taught me how to just kind of pick myself up and keep going. I didn't realize then, it would have been impossible for me to realize then how valuable my degree from this place would end up becoming. And then, in a strange turn of events in 2014, I found my way back here. Just wanted to give back to the same type of opportunity that had been given to me. And, the rest has been history. I love it going around this state, or, really going around the country and talking to people that have a Motion W on their shirt or their hat. I mean, you guys can relate, I'm sure. If you wear a hat out in basically any city in this country, you're going to find a Badger. You're going to attract a Badger. And the conversations that, we've engaged in and the friendships that we've made, people of Wisconsin, there's just no better, and there's no better place to live. Nicest people that you could imagine, and never asked to be part of. And it's like I said before, it's just it's a privilege for me.
Do you go back home with a shirt that says "I was a #1 draft pick first" or something like that? Just for people like that, yeah. Hey, we had people before, and before you mentioned those guys, or I go way back, Dennis Lick, who was a great lineman for years for the Badgers. Yeah. He was in the 70s. There wasn't a lot of guys to hang your hat on, but he was certainly one of them. What was it like to block for Ron Dane? That seems like that would be a good gig.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad, unless it's one of those plays where he just has to put his head down, and if that, there was a time or two when I had an imprint of his face mask in my back, and aside from that, it was awesome. He didn't need much, and when you played the style that we played, and just a really physical brand of football, to have a guy like that in the backfield was just incredible. He good friend to this day. He's an O-lineman trapped in a running back's body, and had the same mentality, kind of same work ethic. And obviously, Ron's not one for the limelight. And so he would just, all the attention that he commanded, he would just deflect, and he'd shine it right at his offensive lineman, which I'm not sure if he intended it to be this way, but it was a brilliant strategy, because the more attention he gave to his offensive line, the harder they worked, the better they blocked, the more success he got. And it just was this kind of self-fulfilling prophecy, but it was a hell of a run.
What is it about you offensive linemen that you would rather run it 75 times a game and throw it twice than just, step back and pass block 60 times a game? Like, you guys just want to road grade people.
Well, there's a couple of reasons for that. One, I'll just speak to my own experience at that time. I think we had, if I'm not mistaken, I think we had one completion at the Copper Bowl, and that was by accident. A wide receiver ran the wrong route and just happened to be under the ball. So, there was a reason why we needed to run it 70 times a game.
Sure.
But, for us, that was the way that was the strategy that was going to work. And so we figured out all kinds of creative ways to run it, and play action and draw and everything. And, we didn't throw it until we absolutely had to throw it. And I'm not saying that's the best strategy, but that was the one that allowed our team to win the most games, because it wasn't going to happen.
But every offensive lineman, I don't care if you have Aaron Rodgers, I guarantee you, right? Like, I think Bakhtiari would rather just run somebody over and plow that guy than face a edge rusher.
I think there's a lot of truth to that. But when you're run blocking, you get to go on the offensive. You get to bring it to your opponent. And when you're in pass protection, winning a pass protection battle is not getting beat, instead of going out and actually beating someone in the run game. I think that's probably the biggest difference.
There was a lot of memorable moments from when you played at Camp Randall Stadium, and Ron Dane, obviously beating the record, has to be as high up there as you can get. But there was a really cool moment at the start of this last season when TV featured Jump Around, as if when everybody came back, it was just such an incredible thing. What does that mean to you as the guy, again, running the ship there, the atmosphere at Camp Randall and the jump around and just the whole thing? I mean, have you checked the footings at Camp Randall? Maybe I can start there. Is everything okay?
Yeah, no, it's solid.
Okay,
solid
good.
footing all the way around here. I remember the first time jump around was played in Camp Randall when we played Purdue, Drew Brees at night in 1998. And, the atmosphere in Camp Randall has never been the same. It happened organically, as I think the best traditions do. And it was cool this year that it was featured, and it was caught and it was shared out, because I think, it's talked about quite a bit on the TV broadcast, and but maybe not to the extent that it had been last year. And from our perspective, to be able to share out, a glimpse of what the experience is like in Camp Randall, and to watch what it was like that night is, I don't know, it's magical. It brings me goosebumps just thinking about where it came from.
The student section as a whole, right? So this is where things are interesting because you played there, you fed off of that student section, and the student section has had a little feedback in regards to some letters that have gone back and forth to the athletic department and the students. And are you going to send a letter? Where are we at with that? Maybe this is just your chance to talk to the students in general.
Well, I'll say this. There's been a lot said about, a desire on the part of the students to get to the games earlier. And if I just focus on that aspect for a second, and I would say this, we couldn't have asked for a better environment than the one we got last year. And our students, having had a year off during that COVID year and not really knowing what to expect when we came back last season, there's a line out the door for each of those games, especially that first game, Labor Day weekend against Penn State. And the only reason that they couldn't get to their seats on time is because we couldn't get them in the building fast enough. And for that, I couldn't be more grateful. Our students were fired up. We talked about what Jump Around looked like and how it got captured on a national broadcast. And let's face it, you touched on it, Trev. The students bring in the energy to the stands and to the environment. The players feed off of it, and then it reciprocates itself, and it's a beautiful thing. And I was so thrilled with what they brought to Camp Randall last year, and I can't wait for it to happen again this year.
Yeah.
So you play for one Wisconsin coaching legend in college at Wisconsin and Barry. When you get drafted, you get another Wisconsin coaching legend. What was Mike Holmgren like as a coach?
Yeah, that was quite a privilege and honor to play for Mike. Having grown up, and I grew up a Packer fan, as a Wisconsin kid, and watched him win the Super Bowl, and then went off to Seattle as both the head coach and the GM. For me, it was kind of it got off to a rocky start, really. I had a hard time nailing down my contract, and we were talking to Mike, the GM, and then then the first we got it all nailed down, and then the first day it's Mike, the head coach, and that's a tough gig. It takes a lot of discipline for somebody to be able to wear those two hats independent of each other, and I feel like once I was able to settle in my rookie year and started the last 10 games of the season my rookie year, that's when I kind of got my feet on the ground, and it felt I got more comfortable with Coach Holmgren and this the season that we had, and kind of felt like I kind of assimilated with the team. It was fun. It was fun there while it lasted.
So is there something between coaches successful as Alvarez and Holmgren? Are there commonalities? Is there something, whether it's organization, whether it's motivation, is there a common link that you can see that why both those guys were successful?
In addition to obviously the X's and O's and the skill that they bring, I think, the common denominator in all good coaches is they love their players, and their players feel that. And that can come in all kinds of different forms. Obviously, styles vary wildly. And, when I think about Coach Alvarez, it was always the players first, and he wanted us to experience success and to feel the support. But, there were more than a few tough conversations, and he was able to push us in ways, push us hard, really. And the way he was able to do this, because we knew he loved us and we loved him. And I think if that's the foundation in a relationship between a player and coach, you can ask a lot of each other and you can hold each other accountable. And, I saw something similar in Coach Holmgren in Seattle. And I'm not sure that I've been around a coach that's been successful for any period of time that doesn't have that love for their players and vice versa.
All right, we'll wrap it up Wisconsin's athletic director, Chris McIntosh. We're back for segment 3, lightning round time. Just a minute. We're inside Wisconsin.
Inside Wisconsin is brought to you by Baycare Clinic, Cobblestone Creek, University of Wisconsin-Platteville, Roll Tech, Festival Foods, Capital Credit Union, North Star Mohican Casino Resort, American Family Insurance, Miller Lite, and Aaron's Company.
Helpful critiques, ideas, great stories, people we should know, the great bar in your town, the fish fry you want to know, the fish boil, anything that you want to reach out to us with. We are happy. We are here. You can be the inputters. We're here to listen.
John, I know we are purveyors of joy here on Inside Wisconsin.
It's on my business card.
Is it? Nice. Good. Yeah. Not to be unjoyful, but gas prices suck. I don't think this is going to go out of date anytime soon. Gas is stupid. We're not talking politics. I don't mean to go there, but there's a reason I'm bringing this up. But okay, I should ask you.
Why are you telling me? Yeah, that I go to the pump. I am aware.
Well, here's why I bring it up. I'm looking at my notes. Festival Foods has partnered up with Quick Trip to offer us here in Wisconsin. Sorry, bud. Gas rewards. It's fairly simple. Go to rewards.festfoods.com. You'll find out everything there. But for a quick synopsis, if you go to Festival Foods, you got to register for the gas rewards. So you'll get the little card. And for every dollar you spend, you'll earn a point. Every dollar you spend, you get 1 point. And once you reach 100 points, just for shopping for groceries at Festival Foods, you get 10 cents off a gallon. It is 10 cents off per gallon of gas for every 100 points you get. That changes the game. We're not talking a penny off or something like that. We're talking 10 cents off a gallon. Okay. So rewards.festfoods.com. Go learn about it because we don't think gas prices are going away anytime soon. And of course they would team up with Quick Trip. I mean, 2 giant brands here in Wisconsin teaming together to save you money on gas.
But I can still go to Festival Foods for produce and get a steak and all that other stuff, right?
Yeah, and now you get to save on your gas when you go and get those things. Why would you not do that?
Well, just make sure I can still get the core business.
That's the idea. Understood. Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to make sure that, fuel rewards are nice, but I still want to be able to make sure I can go, But yeah, I love it. I love that you bring things up that I am not eligible for, like Culver and Line and Kugels and gas rewards prices.
Sorry about that.
This is the best show ever to be on.
All right, moving on. We're back inside Wisconsin. John, nope, why did I put it myself? I'm not John. I'm Trevor. That's John. And that's Chris McIntosh. He's athletic director now at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. All right, a few for me. I couldn't help but notice, Chris, when you go to your Wikipedia page, as a guy that played college and then was drafted in the first round of the NFL, your height and weight follow you on something like that. Are you still 6'6"? I mean, I'm not asking you if you're 308, but are you still 6'6"?
Yeah, I'm 6. I played at 3. I was 6'7". I still am 6'7".
Good for you. That's good.
317. 317 was my fighting weight. I'm nowhere near 317.
Good.
I'm now 245, which is where my body is supposed to be. It was a lot of work to keep that weight on, and I was happy to shed it.
I'm 6'8", and for some reason I've completely figured out how to carry 280 on the regular. It's pretty fascinating for me. I'll get down to 240 someday. All right, last one. Put on your football player hat for a second. Push that AD thing to the side. When we launched Inside Wisconsin and people started asking us who we should get on, one was obviously Ron Dane, but that was quickly followed by some of my friends by Ron Dane's streaker. I know you don't condone running on the field, but take us back to that moment because apparently that guy went to Jefferson High School where I'm from. I had no idea, but what was the field like when he broke the record and then the very next play was a streaker on the field?
Yeah, that was quite a bizarre moment. Obviously the play took place, the fans erupted, the game came to a stop, just to recognize, the moment. And, I walked, play went off to the right. I walked over to just give Ron a hug, and I turned around, and that guy wasn't 10 feet away. And it's just one of those moments in Camp Randall that everybody remembers. I think that guy's got turf burns in places that he shouldn't, that he probably remembers as well, because they got him in the end zone. And at the time, the turf in Camp Randall wasn't nearly as forgiving as it is now. And so he earned every bit of that experience.
That's awesome.
So I'm just going to say that when I was a college athlete, in high jump, I was 6'3", and I jumped between 155 and 160. Yeah, and had to just make sure I didn't fall through sewer grates when I was wide. That was the biggest hazard I'd have. If I stepped off a curb, I might be lost down into the drain in the sewer system when we come through. So, all right, I'm going to fire a bunch of these at you, Chris.
Okay.
And these should be quick, and hopefully someone will chuckle along the way. First, how many teams are in the Big Ten?
14.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Give me somebody famous from Pewaukee that's not a football player.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. There's probably some state representative or some legislature, some guy in the legislature that he's probably on there, and we're like, yeah, good for you. Give me the Watt brothers in order, oldest to youngest.
JJ, Derek, and TJ.
Okay. Why do you suppose Derek isn't DJ, by the way? Do we know? Have we solved that mystery?
I don't know that.
Yeah, I don't either. Do you have a favorite brewer?
Yeah, I remember, the early 80s and Cecil Cooper, Robin Young, Paul Molitor, all those guys were the guys I cheered for. Yeah,
you're good in this crowd, that's for sure. So volleyball, I'm assuming you were at the national championship game.
Yep.
What people don't know sometimes is we have a great crew team. When was the last time you were at a regatta?
When we were here at Devil's Lake, just right before the pandemic.
Okay, good. If you're going up north, where would you go?
Eagle River.
Good. Snowmobile races. I like that. He was a great defensive lineman. Could you take Gene Smith in the Oklahoma drill right now at Ohio State?
I think I could. One time.
Yeah, he's old. Best bar in Madison, student division.
Student division.
Yeah, like when you were there and you were a student.
Oh, gotcha. I see. Mondays was the place that I tended to frequent most often.
Okay. Best Madison bar, I'm the athletic director division.
I see. We spend a lot of time up on the Capitol, and the Old Fashioned is a place that we tend to bring a lot of guests from out of town. It's on brand.
Good. And the last one I have, and since we'll just you'll lean into your strength here. Do you think Joe Thomas is one of the top 25 all-time Badger linemen?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty safe bet. Yeah.
What about where might you put him if you were just gonna go ahead and?
Where as a top 25?
Yeah, if you were guessing,
I would have to put him at the top of the list.
Is he the best
in
Badger
your top
football?
2? You're saying he'd be in your top 2 at least.
I would put him at the very top of the list.
Yeah. So this is the running gag on this show is Trevor. He ranked him like 13th on his all-time best Badgers, which is just very almost canceled his appearance when he heard that. That's how bad it was.
Yep.
Sucks.
Trevor,
I put Daryl Bevel first.
I'm assuming that you're not expecting to get Joe on this show anytime soon.
Oh, he was on.
He had to make up. You should have seen the ass kissing and groveling that happened. Oh my God!
Go back and watch that one. Go back. It's the first episode 3, 4, or 5 weeks ago, something like that. You'll enjoy it.
It was the most embarrassing. Like you could just hear the golf cart governor beep 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 or the garbage truck backing up. It was just it takes earplugs. It was so bad. Terrible.
It was a good time. All right.
Chris McIntosh, you are a champ. Thanks so much. Continued success. Like you said, there's a lot of responsibility because people not only love the Badgers, but they really love them to win. So I don't envy that all the time, and I don't envy having to work your way through all the things that are out there. But I feel like it's nice to have a guy who's passionate and loves the place he's at to work through those issues, and that the university and its athletics and its 800 plus athletes are in good hands. Thanks so much.
All right. Thanks, guys. I'm Wisconsin.
Cheers, Chris. You could kind of see, John, how he was wearing the athletic director hat, and then we got him to wear the football student hat for a minute, but he went right back to the athletic director hat pretty quick.
Yeah, he's on point. He knows what his job is now.
Yeah.
And his job is to make sure that the place runs smoothly. And it is hard to make it run smoothly. And when you're that big and you're that successful, that you got to feed that. You got to keep up because everybody's getting bigger and people that aren't chasing more. So you got to keep after what that is. And there's 830, whatever it was, to kids to look after.
Yeah.
And it's a
400
big
staff.
Big
Did you catch that? 400 staff, 800 and some odd student athletes. Like, we all know what you do for a job. This is what I do for a job. The responsibility is nowhere near 1,200 people. That was insane.
Yeah. And 830 of those kids are at an age where they're growing up and they're vulnerable. And, and as much as they want to brand themselves on Twitter and social media, then you go check your branding, your social media, and somebody goes, "Hey, you play terrible," and so, yeah, it's a hard thing to do, and it's a big job, and he's really the guy who follows the guy, right? You don't want to be the guy that follows Brett Favre, but Aaron Rodgers did a pretty good job of it. You don't want to be the guy who followed John Elway, Dan Marino, but he's the guy that followed the guy, and right now, so far, the results have been pretty darn good.
I was kicking myself. I accidentally talked over him when he ended his little, hey, thanks for having me on, and on Wisconsin, because JJ Watt does that every time. And anybody that's ever been through here, they always end up with on Wisconsin, which it made me remember, John, when we were talking about the name of this show, Inside Wisconsin, we talked for a minute about it being on Wisconsin, not on Wisconsin Badgers, but on Wisconsin. And then a good friend of mine said, I love the name. Are you going to fight the cease and desist? And I said, no, we're not. And they said, change the name. Got it. Inside Wisconsin sounds pretty good. But this is where John Wisconsin was born.
See what we did there?
John,
we're clever, right? We're Wisconsin. A clever group.
Mm-hmm. So what is the latest tale from the life of John Anderson? We call it John Wisconsin.
Right. So I was thinking, spring, is there something we did the prom thing? Is there a graduation, John Wisconsin?
Yeah.
My graduation was fairly uneventful. Although after what my son went through in the pandemic, I had a graduation. It was great. Well, my junior year, I might have accidentally walked in with the National Honor Society class just to be funny, even though I didn't make that tonight. So I don't know if this is John Wisconsin. All I know is I went to the mail the other day, and I'm like, what the heck is this? It's an odd-shaped package. It's very heavy. And I have this in the mail, right?
Yeah.
This is what you sent me.
Yeah, it says John Anderson on the bottom of it.
It does. Here's the problem, okay? We've kind of lost some of Door County and Washington Island.
Son of a
bitch. Where it is. So by John Anderson, John Wisconsin right now is just I'm an incomplete Wisconsin at this point.
Oh.
I don't know where, I feel like we're probably maybe Sturgeon Bay.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've gotten to Fish Creek. We certainly don't have Sister Bay and Ephraim. Ellison Bay, there's no shop. So I don't know what this does. I don't know that it's really a John Wisconsin. I just know that that someone, I don't know whoever made this, if he could send me a little more Door County.
Yeah, his name is Dan.
I don't know. I could maybe, put like a Twix bar up there and break it off, something. But I'm feeling bad. The rest of the state's in good, Pewaukee's
looks
fine.
Good. Let's see.
Wait, I'm over here. I'm like, Pewaukee's fine. Kenosha, Parkside over here. The rest of it's good.
Looks good.
It's just, we've got to do this.
Damn it. Well, that's an insurance claim. I took insurance out on that shipment. Dan Made, it says in the back of that, there should be a little penny. A good buddy of mine named
Shut up and sit down. Okay, well, I'm doing that. Why is the penny back there?
Because everything Dan makes is worth a penny. That's what he says. I think it's worth a heck of a lot more than that, but there's a penny there for that reason. He actually just started his own business. It's called Woodan, not Wooden, Woodan. He's
worth a penny. If this is worth a penny, then I feel like this is like the coupons you get in the mail that are like, they say worthy of like 1/10 of 1 or whatever it is.
All right.
1/100th of 1 cent or something.
Dan, we got to send John Door County. Let's make it happen. We'll figure it out.
Thanks.
All right. That was fun. Thanks to Chris McIntosh for being here. As always, like these posts, everybody. Subscribe here on YouTube. Man, it's fun to see those views and those followers tick up. And we love that you are all here with us in Wisconsin. Until next time, as you were, Wisconsin.
Inside Wisconsin is brought to you by Baycare Clinic, Cobblestone Creek, University of Wisconsin-Platteville, Roll Tech, Festival Foods, Capital Credit Union, North Star Mohican Casino Resort, American Family Insurance, Miller Lite, and Aaron's Company.
Shut up and sit down.